This behind me is Den Finella, and Den Finella is a hidden gem between Johnshaven and St Cyrus. And this waterfall is in fact the setting of a wonderful folktale from the northeast coast of Scotland. It's based on a true story but has since become legend. So I'm now going to tell you the story of Finella. Once, a long time ago, during the dark ages of Britain, in fact just over 1,000 years ago from today, there lived a lady named Finella. Now Finella was a noble lady. She was the daughter of Cyncar, who at that time was the more mayor of Angus. And from what I've read, I think it's fair to say that Finella was a strong woman. She was a loyal woman, and she was a woman of her word. And she had a son called Cracklinthius, and she loved her son more than anything else in the world. But one day, she received some terrible news. Her beloved son had been murdered at the hands of the king. The story goes that Cracklinthius had done something to offend the king. When the king ordered Cracklinthius to come before him and explain himself, Cracklinthius disobeyed and fled to the west coast of Scotland. When the king discovered this, he was furious that one of his subjects would dare defy him, and so sent his men to hunt him down and kill him. And that's exactly what they did. Now the king at the time was called Kenneth II, and he was renowned for his brutality in enforcing law and order throughout the land. In fact, story has it that he once hung 30 thieves from a tree just to punish them for their crime. And so when Finella found out this news, she was beside herself with grief. And that grief soon turned to rage, and that rage turned into desperation to get revenge. She vowed to avenge her son. And so she began to plot. She began to think of ways in which she could kill the king. And one day, she had an idea. She invited the king to her cottage at Fettercairn. Now, some people say that she invited him to come and see an impressive piece of weaponry that she held there. And others say that she invited him because in one of her rooms was a statue of a boy. And legend has it that if you touch the head of this statue, you would be blessed with amazing sporting prowess for the rest of your days. Either way, the king went to that cottage. Meanwhile, Finella's plot was well underway. In one of the rooms, she had set up a crossbow, and it was sprung and poised and waiting. And the plan was that when she opened the door to that room and the king entered, the crossbow would trigger. And that is exactly what happened. Finella opened the door, and as the king entered, the crossbow was triggered, and the arrow shot straight across the room, right into the king's heart. And the king fell to the floor and died instantly. Now Finella, knowing that the guards outside would soon realise something was wrong, fled the cottage. Soon enough, those guards discovered the body of their dead king on the floor of the cottage, and they knew Finella was to blame, and so they pursued her tracks. And Finella ran, and she made it all the way to this very waterfall that you see behind me. Desperately, she scrambled to the top, and the men were getting closer and closer. Legend has it that she was so nimble, so light and agile, that she was even able to walk atop the branches of the trees that stretch out across the waterfall under the bridge. And there she balanced. And at that moment, she had but two choices. One, she could get captured and surely be killed for treason. The other was to jump. And so Finella jumped. Now some say that she died instantly as her body smashed on top of the rocks below. Some say she made the fall, she hit the water, she made that 65-foot drop, but was washed away, never to be seen again. Others say that she survived the fall. She escaped and made her way to Ireland, where she lived out the rest of her days in hiding. Whatever her fate, this waterfall is the setting of that very legend. The legend of the disappearance of Finella, who lived all those years ago, back in 995 AD. Now I like to think that she did escape and she made it to Ireland and she lived out her days in peace and found peace as she avenged her son. That is the legend of Finella, set at the very waterfall you see behind me.